Frog and Evan, stop arguing, right? That was getting intense then. We pressed record to try and calm you both down. You're supposed to be friends, for God's sake.
More drama than EastEnders, isn't he?
Yeah. Christ alive, you're saying things then, Ev, you can't take back.
He's saying things you can't say on this podcast. Or in life. These
You okay now,
racist,
Prog?
homophobic slurs.
Well,
Look at Prog.
honestly, I'm gonna take all these videos off YouTube and just use them in my court case against you all.
So,
do you up like the news of the world?
welcome to Rewind the Movies. What are we? The fourth best movie podcast in Denmark. That was probably about 2 years ago. Probably down to fifth or sixth now. And this week's film is taking a look at Evan's pick, Hard to Kill.
Disclaimer: the narrator says I was under pressure. Thank you, Ad, for confirming that in the group chat earlier.
It's the fact it was on your list anyway, Ev.
It wasn't even on my list. Literally, it wasn't on my list. I was under significant bouts of pressure, and it was the first film that came into my head.
What I find more troubling is the fact that this came into your head. Of all the thousands of films, this is the one that you plucked out of the air.
Well, I was thinking I wanted to do like an 80s action movie, and we'd already done, Arnie and Sly, and to be honest, Van Damme never entered my head, and it was just I thought of Seagal, and I thought we'd done Under Siege, and this was the next off the rank. So
Yeah, but we keep saying we haven't done Under Siege. We need to come back and do it.
And I'm gonna let it pass that you said 80s, even though this was released in 1990, because
I know. Yeah.
because this would have been filmed in 89. So I'll go along with you on that one.
The interesting thing though as well is going back to Under Siege quickly, because some listeners might not know, but that was our first ever podcast, which never saw the light of day because what was wrong? Are we good?
What was wrong with it? It was 3 hours long.
Yeah. So basically, there is a 3-hour podcast out there of us talking about Under Siege. So is that ever going to see the light of day, or are we just going to re-record it?
Didn't we spend half an hour just talking about the birthday cake scene?
We did, yeah.
We went off on so many tangents. I think there's probably a 40-minute podcast in there somewhere if you edit it, but it just would be a nightmare to edit.
There was no structure then, was it? We were a bit more unleashed when we on that one.
Wow. Yeah, it was me, Adam, and Prog sat in a room in Prog and Adam's house, just chewing the fat, or whatever the saying is. Yeah, it's chewing the fat, isn't it?
Spending an hour over the birthday cake and Erika Leniak's hat.
Yeah,
I will say though, right, Under Siege is a good movie. I was, that's the only Steven Seagal film which is worth watching. But I did like Under Siege 2 when I was younger, but I haven't seen that in years, and I have a feeling that would be stinking if we put that on now.
You didn't like Nico when we watched it the other month.
Oh, first off, right, me and Prog, we've had this discussion 50 times now, right?
Yeah.
Because every Steven Seagal film blows into one. We didn't watch Nico. We watched Out for Justice.
That's the one where he blows someone's knee off.
Out for Justice is, Nico. But then we had this massive argument because Prog thought Nico was Out for Justice. It's like, no, Nico is above the law.
Yeah.
But then I thought Hard to Kill was Out for Justice. So before we watched this, I thought it was Out for Justice. So the thing with Steven Seagal films, they all blur into one movie. I
100% agree with you. There's a few of them they're just all the same, and this is one of them.
Okay, Ad. So which one did we watch previously?
Out for Justice.
Right.
We've never watched Above the Law together.
No. Okay. Right. So what did you think of Out for Justice?
Better than this one because it was funnier and the action was better. And also I liked the fact that he was against the mob in that one. There was better bad guys. We'll get on to the problems of this film as we get into the...
Is Out for Justice the one where he's in, like, snow?
No, that's not Out for Justice. He's sort of in, like... Is he in New York in that one? It's all set in the city. That one is... it's It's got good action scenes actually. Out for Justice.
I love the fact that nobody knows what a Steven Seagal film is apart from Under Siege.
Out for Justice is the one where he wears the beret with the waistcoat and the combat trousers and stuff.
Right, Ev.
Yeah, go on.
The one that you're thinking of, I think, is On Deadly Ground.
Is that with Michael Caine?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I remember it, yeah.
I love Steven Seagal movie titles, and I've said this before, but possibly in the Under Siege podcast, so the listeners will never hear this. But I love how they structure the name, because you can always say, 99% of the time, not always, but 99% of the time, Steven Seagal is, and then the movie title. It works so well.
Can we share screen on you?
Yeah.
Look at this, by you. Screen. Which one?
Share.
Look at this by you now. I'm looking at Out for Justice at the moment. Look at the films. Hard to Kill and Above the Law have the exact same poster, so no wonder we were always getting confused in that film.
Well,
They have the same poster.
Glimmer Man's not 100% different either. Yeah, 100% away from it, I mean.
Look at these films. Marked for Death, Hard to Kill, Above the Law. The Exit Wounds is... No. See, I get mixed up as well. Is Exit Wounds the one with Kurt Russell? No, it's not.
No,
Kurt
that's
Russell.
Executive Decision.
See what I mean? Born to Raise
let's
Hell.
have a look at this, right? Steven Seagal is Marked for Death. Steven Seagal is Hard to Kill. Steven Seagal is Above the Law. Or Steven Seagal is Nico. Steven Seagal is Born to Raise Hell. Steven Seagal is The Glimmer Man, although I don't know if he is in that. Steven Seagal is Driven to Kill. Steven Seagal is Under Siege. It works.
But Steven Seagal is Exit Wounds.
Yeah, that one doesn't.
Steven Seagal is Executive Decision.
Is Steven Seagal really in Showdown in Little Tokyo?
No, I think that's just related. It says at the top, people also search for.
People also search for, yeah. So
People like Adam also searched for.
Look at him, Bear. Look at Steven Seagal, Bear. He's such a mess, isn't he? Look at this, like, look at that. Look at him, like.
I'm like, he's 71 years old, right? And I'm just amazed, like, how well he keeps his hair. There's not a single grey hair in there.
He's
that
going to
must
be
be all those Chinese herbs he has in these movies.
Steven Seagal is sponsored by Grecian 2000.
Is that his other film title?
Steven Seagal is Sniper Special Ops.
Steven Seagal is Fire Down Below.
That's a poster. That's it is one. Steven Seagal is the Patriot. Steven Seagal is Out for a Kill. They're brilliant.
See, it works, I reckon, for 75%. I said 99 earlier, but...
Look at that one. Steven Seagal is a dangerous man. They're great, aren't they? Stop sharing that for now.
So, I watched this movie, I think, a couple of days after everyone else did. And there'd been some conversation on text or WhatsApp that there may be a hint that some people may not have enjoyed this film. I'm looking at Adam here because he did one particular quote, which I'm going to question him on later. But I had what you guys had already said in the group chat. And in the back of my head, I knew this is a Seagal movie from the early 90s. I knew I wasn't going to get the best action movie in the world, right? So I'd sort of come to terms with that. And I also knew I was going to get a certain amount of unintentional humour. So I was primed and ready for this. And I will admit, I got some enjoyment out of this movie. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but I got some enjoyment out of it.
Good for you.
Andrew.
I just want to lay down my cards now. There's plenty wrong with it, and I got a big list, but
the only enjoyment I got out of the film was when something happened, and I looked across at Adam to see what the expression on his face was, and I did enjoy that.
It was just like,
I often saw the most confused look I've seen on him before.
That was just my expression from the beginning to
He
the
knew what
end.
was going on.
This is like, I remember my grandfather used to say this about films sometimes. If he was given, I remember he used to say this about Death Wish and like just action films like this, and it just reminded me of what this is exactly the criticism he used to mean. This was the kind of film, right? You could watch the beginning off, go into the kitchen, make a dinner and stuff, go in the living room an hour later, and know exactly what's happened. You don't need to see any of the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you was in that dojo house for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, but none of it matters. If you just left for 50 minutes to an hour and came back and saw him shooting all of like what's his chops, William Sadler's mates, you're like, okay, now he's getting revenge. The film, none of it means anything. It's just everything in this film is a waste of time. Everything is a waste of time in this film. Nothing is good. Nothing. It was like one of them.
Whoa. There's good bits.
No.
There's maybe good is a strong word. There's some positive bits.
The stuff that's so bad it's funny.
You wouldn't ever want to do your positives of the film first and then we can get into
Are
it.
you telling me both of you have no positives? And actually, don't answer that question yet. Answer this question, Ad. You said on text this was the worst movie you've ever seen. I think you've sort of maybe come back a little bit on that now. But come on, the worst? And you got no enjoyment out of it at all?
No, the thing is, right, there are bits in this film that make you laugh because of how bad they are, but it also pissed me off so much. It was enraging, and also things like the sex scenes in this film. Like, I hated watching those sex scenes. Prog was sat there, me and Prog watched it together. The sex scenes, right, was skin crawling. I was like, I just felt sick. I was like, this is fudging horrible to watch. It was just like,
Can I give you the timeline of the sex scene, right? In reality, what's his name in this? Mason Stone, is that his name?
Jason Storm.
Storm, right? I tell you one thing, Steven Seagal always has good character names, right?
Okay, do you know what? I'm going to go along with that. That is one good aspect of the film.
So, this is a criticism of the situation, right? Think back to the night he gets shot, right? The people come into his house, they shoot him, bang, he goes down, he gets back up, they shoot him again. They turn to his wife, she gets shot. Then he gets shot again, right? So in his mind, bang, he's out, right? Then he wakes up, it's 7 years later, but in his mind, it's not 7 years later. It's like an hour later, or however long, right?
Yeah.
Within 24 hours, maybe a bit more, he's having sex with Kelly LeBrock. So it's technically only been 24 hours since his wife's died, and he's already bedding another lady.
That was the dream.
No,
It's living the dream, I know, Ev, but...
No, that was a dream.
I cannot believe I'm about to defend this film, but I think Kelly LeBrock and Steven Seagal are meant to be in that dojo house for a few months to allow him to rehabilitate, because she says like her doctor friend has gone away for 6 months or something, so she's staying there for that length of time so they can hide out there apparently, and that's when he rehabilitates, and he only goes with her like months down the line. That's how I took it anyway.
Well, I'll go on board with that. Maybe I missed something, but I want to go back to this. Everyone just said it's a dream. Have I missed something with this movie?
Yeah, because if you look at the scene, he's working out in the room, innit? And then all of a sudden she comes in the black dress saying, "Oh, I just got a flower for you," and then obviously
That's a
opens
dream.
her legs and yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
put
it
this
is. No,
as a
no,
dream.
it is because straight after it goes back to him sat up on the same machine. So he's sort of daydreaming at that point.
This film off. I didn't get that though. But like,
that's what I took it out anyway.
do you know what I take? So basically, he was over it. That's what the sounds like that was.
Do you honestly think Steven Seagal will put himself in a movie where he's dreaming having sex with his then off-screen wife instead of actually having sex with his off-screen wife?
Well, that's the way I took it. Were they together at that point though?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were married.
The whole reason she's in the movie, because technically she had retired from acting at this point, and as a favour to her husband, she starred in the movie.
Okay. Well, I could be wrong, but that's the way I took it anyway.
You've blown my mind now, Ev, that it was a dream.
I don't
It's
think
not
it's
a
a dream.
If it is a dream, I'm on board with all of you now. It's a movie.
It's not a dream.
Hold on. I'm going to Google it now.
You're telling me in the middle of Hard to Kill, there's a dream sequence of him having sex with Kelly LeBrock? Do you honestly think this film is that, like,
I know
what's
when
the
he's
word?
because when he's banging Kelly Brock, he keeps thinking about his dead wife all the time.
Oh, that's after.
Well, this is the other thing, right? He is, regardless of the time scale that I just said, and then Prog counted it slightly that he believes it's a few months or weeks later, he has sex in that room, in the dojo. There's newspaper clippings all on the wall. So he's like bedding this, obviously a very attractive lady, but there's clippings of his murdered wife on the wall.
I know. So we've
Yeah,
always known.
but, you know, as long as you don't glance up at any point, you're alright, no?
He's boning her as she looks over and all he's doing is staring, reading the paper.
Yeah, but hang on a minute now. Wouldn't it just be the same if, like, you were widowed and you had a photo of your dead wife on the mantelpiece?
Oh,
and you
but
had
come on.
sex- And you had sex with your new partner in the living room?
But you think about it now, right? You go to someone's house who's widowed, and you go to bed with them, and there on the bedside cabinet is Mr. Ex-husband.
Tell me at what point during the film and Kelly Brock character arc did you think she gave a shit about the ex? Because she was checking his junk while he was unconscious in the hospital.
I reckon she was like, yeah, the most inappropriate coma nurse in the world. Touching
Like, I
him
mean,
up and
don't
everything.
get me wrong, right? This, like, every guy's fantasy that they get this hot nurse fancying them. But, come on. Steven Seagal in a coma. Do you see the facial hair?
Well, that was that's one thing. If I'd woken up and a nurse had given me a goatee and she admitted to it, I'd be like, oh, piss off, love. I don't care if you're a Kelly LeBrock. You're not doing. My face ain't gonna do a goatee. Not like a wispy Chinese bloody sensei one.
What if it was Jennifer Connelly?
I don't know, goatee or comedy.
You are thinking about it, though.
I don't know. Ev, have you googled it? Is it a dream sequence?
I can't find this.
You can-
No,
you
no
can
one on
neither
earth has
confirm
ever
nor
bothered to
deny it.
care.
No, I can't find it. No, honestly, that's the way I took it because he was sat up in his sweats doing the peck or whatever he was on the multi gym. She comes in, gives him a flower. They have a bit of afternoon delight, and then all of a sudden
She gives him her flower. Symbolic it is, Ev.
Yeah. And but then it cuts dramatically to him sat in the same position on the multi gym. That's why I thought it was him fantasizing.
I love it that you just like put it in there as we were talking about it so nonchalantly, like everyone else saw it as well, and we were like, oh.
Ev, I think you've misconstrued lack of effort in filmmaking along with poor editing, and you've created this dream sequence for yourself to help it make sense.
All right.
The editing side of things is quite interesting, actually, Prog, because who's the director? Anyone know? But whoever
Bruce.
his name is,
His name was Bruce something. I remember. I remember
Malmuth.
being Bruce.
yeah,
Bruce
he
Malmuth.
him and Seagal didn't get on at all. Seagal didn't think him worthy of being a director, right? And I think some of it boils down to the Seagal was not allowed to be part of the editing at the end of the movie, and yeah, he Seagal felt that the final edit of the film was absolutely terrible, and there's large parts of the movie cut out to make it to a 90-minute movie.
Well,
So-
at least he's not that dumb then. For him to at least he's self-aware and he knew how bad it was. If that's a bad thing for a film. If Steven Seagal himself says this is crap, that is probably the biggest nugget of crap you've ever, like, gonna watch ever, like,
Kelly LeBrock calls this movie, what was it, Hard to Forget or something like that.
Wow.
It's
Hard
like,
to
'cause she's,
believe as well.
actually, hard to believe, yeah, that's it. She she didn't like it at all.
Can I just say though, can I just quickly? I know that we've talked about the name situation a little bit, but I'm looking at the Wikipedia thing, and I've actually got like every name of every. I'm not going to read all of them, but I'm going to run through a couple of them quickly about the names of Steven Seagal characters. If you can, and bonus points if you can guess what film they're in. How's that about that? So obviously we've got
I'm
Mason.
only going to get one of them.
Well, you'll get a couple of them actually. Mason Storm obviously was this one. Nico Toscani.
Above the law, Nico.
Obviously, yeah. Casey Ryback.
Under Siege.
Under Siege.
Yeah. Then we got John Hatcher. We got Jack Cole, Jack Taggart, Dr. Wesley McLaren, Detective Gino Felino.
Gino Felino. Which one was that?
It was.
Is
It
it-
was
Right, screaming
Out for
it.
Justice. It was Out for Justice. That one was. We got Orin.
I would have guessed that.
We got Orin Boyd, Frank Glass, Jonathan Cold, Professor Robert Burns. Sometimes they're like educated people. These are Jack Miller, Travis Hunter, Cock Puncher. That's one. Played a character called Cock Puncher. Teo. He's just got like he's Ruslan Drakhev, Roland Salinger. Names are just. I'm not gonna just millions of them. Cock Puncher's my favourite though.
Puncher. This movie had another title, and it was changed by the studio to give it a more sort of, what was the term they used? Slam bang action movie.
Before you tell us what the other title was, I reckon we should all go through it and say what would be a good title for this film, a good alternative to Hard to Kill. What would you say? Would it be a good title for this instead, Prog?
Don't bother.
Just don't bother.
Taking it to the bank.
The blood
bank.
The blood bank.
bank's a good-
Yes. Oh,
Blood Bank's a good
No.
one, yeah.
Do you know why? Because that's a waste of a title. The blood bank
Or like,
sounds interesting. It sounds like, I wonder what that's about.
or what about like corruption or something like that? Like for, William Sadler and stuff. You know what I mean?
What
Steven
about
Seagal is
what about
corrupt.
Hard to Watch?
Hard to watch.
Steven Seagal is hard to watch.
Comatose,
hard to
because
stomach.
you will feel comatose because the film will put you into a coma as well. So what was it?
So the working title, and it did actually get promoted as this title for a while as well, was 7 Year Storm. So obviously playing on his name and the fact he was in a coma for 7 years.
That's not a bad title.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if
It's a more fun. It's a more fun title, isn't it?
I wouldn't rush out to watch the movie based on it though. So some of my favourite aspects. He has a great name, Mason Storm. It has a banging 80s soundtrack at times, or score, not a soundtrack.
Yeah.
I do love watching Steven Seagal run like a T-Rex.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of humour in it, and I did laugh out loud, although none of it is intentional.
He runs like Phoebe from Friends, didn't he?
His legs are going like. What I love though, his legs are going like a million miles an hour, but his arms are just going like that.
Yeah, but
But because he's so rigid, he doesn't move.
If you look at his legs, it's only from the knee down do they move.
You know.
He
And only
never
one
picks
leg
his
moves.
knees
As well.
up.
And only one leg moves. It's the most unusual run ever.
And I think that's about it for my favourite aspects.
Well, I reckon we should go to the man who picked this now, Evan. What was your favourite aspect of this?
I've got a few. It's Sweet Ponytail. Gotta love the balls on him for rocking a ponytail like that. And the cheesy 80s/90s music.
Wasn't it quite good, Dev? I quite liked it.
It was alright actually, yeah. And I think there was some good moves in the off license fight at the start, especially when he poleaxed that one bloke. It was almost like, like a WWF sort of thing. That house as well that he ends up in, the house sitting, Doctor's Gone to China house. That's almost like a bloody retreat. It's got everything that he needs. It's got like all the food ingredients or whatever from his favorite food. All the multi gym. The decor of like a dojo or whatever. It's got everything.
I
What you
love
gonna
that
rehab?
sequence, right? Simply because when he wakes up and then he has to heal himself, and all of a sudden he's this Chinese prophet, or whatever you call it. He can write in Chinese. He knows all about Chinese medicine and herbal sort of remedies. And then the best thing is, he starts giving himself acupuncture. And some of those needles on his back, no way did he put them in. They're just like all over. And I did laugh out loud at that point.
What do you think what do you think the homeowner thought when he came back from his holiday?
The place is shot up to bits, isn't it?
Because there's not much dojo left afterwards. Can I just going back to what Evan said, the opening shop scene, like when the shopkeeper gets killed, and then basically Seagal saves no lives in this film. He's Mason Storm doesn't really save people's lives, but like he what's with the old twisting limbs theme in this film?
Oh, that business. Yeah, he loves that move, doesn't he?
It's pressure
Yeah,
points, isn't it? It's using someone's body weight against them.
Yeah.
So,
And that's him, isn't it? He's Aikido, which is all about deflecting and all that malarkey. But yeah, I know what you mean. Is it the most attractive martial art to look at?
No, it looks boring.
No.
It's like
Yeah,
it's
just that, isn't it?
like from someone who loves martial arts films and stuff. Like when you watch a good kung fu film or martial arts film, like a Jackie Chan one, they're booting people in the heads and stuff, man. And this is just like, that's Aikido. That is Aikido. I mean, if we have any listeners that do Aikido, yeah, that's great. Great that you do it. But on films, it just looks like this.
I disagree.
It looks crap.
I
And, like,
disagree. I actually quite like Steven Seagal's the way he does the martial arts. I'm not saying in a real fight it would be that effective, but I actually think when I'm watching a film with him in, I don't mind him in an action scene doing that type of stuff.
I don't mind it. I will admit. I just don't think it's executed very well in this movie.
No, that's correct. I completely agree with that.
So I don't know who the coordinators were.
If you look at the only good film he's ever done, Under Siege.
Whoa, that's a bold statement.
No,
Let's go back to his filmography.
The other one we watched was good. I still can't remember the name of the film.
Outward Justice was funny, but it wasn't good. But like, at least with Under Siege, it is actually a decent movie. Like, but if you look at that film, there's good martial arts in that. But like, the best bit is when he stabs Tommy Lee Jones in the head. Spoilers.
Yeah, but he's still having a knife fight, isn't he? That's good.
Yeah, but it's just like boom. I reckon that film is so good because of the cast around him, like Tommy Lee Jones, Gary Busey. I forgot her name now. What was her name? The cake girl. Erika.
Erika Leniak.
That's it. Yeah.
She's the weak point in the movie for me.
I can't believe you just said that, Ant.
I love the one scene she's in, but yeah, I don't think she's the strongest actor.
I will say in defence of the movie as well, this is like Seagal's second movie, and Above the Law is like this as well. Above the Law is also like in this realm of being as well, but this is worse on Above the Law, much worse on Above the Law. So I think it's also a thing where like Under Siege is like his fifth movie, and Out for Justice is his fourth movie. It's just like that. Maybe he was just kind of like figuring it out as he went along. You know what I mean?
Oh,
no, exactly.
I just thought of a good point.
Go on.
Do you know when the hitman is going through the hospital and he's killed those two he's killed 2 of the staff, and Kelly LeBrock finds them. She doesn't scream.
That can I just say,
I thought that was really good.
That bit's fine. I'll give you that. But the bit with the hitman in the hospital was so annoying. It was like, I just like the bit with the elevator door. This is the hitman, right? Let's pretend this pen's a gun. Like the door's closing this slow, and he's just like behind the door, just like that. Oh. Well, the door's just going like that, and he's just like the gun's just waving in there. I was just like, when you just pull the trigger, you melon. I was like, what's going on? Like, it's probably the worst hitman I've ever seen in a film ever.
Not as bad as Kelly LeBrock's steering of a hospital bed.
Oh my god!
She plunges him into the wall at one point.
I will say though, there was a genuine guffaw of laughter around that bit, right? And me and Prog both laughed our heads off when he's trying to run outside and that guy's just got the little trolley. And then when it cuts back to him, he just baps him out for like no reason. That bit was extremely funny. That was probably the hardest punch of the entire film as well. Was on this random accident with the trolley.
Slayed in, didn't he?
Dead. That guy was chucked up into Steven Seagal's coma bed after that, because that guy was in a coma after that punch to the face. It was hard. It was just the sound effect was so like loud and stuff of it as well. I did laugh my head off at that. That's the good point of the film. That punch to the face.
We're going to be here all night, otherwise. But I'm talking about the good points, obviously. But let's talk about a scene that one of us liked. Prog, have we got any?
No.
I just said
any.
I just said mine, the punch in the face.
So mine is either the ridiculous off-license scene at the beginning where he goes into like the roughest off-license in the world and asks for champagne, and they happen to have it. And is the guy who owns the off-license the guy from The Great Outdoors?
He's from
No.
He's from Last Action Hero. He's the ticket guy in Last Action Hero.
I thought it was the owner of the resort in The Great Outdoors.
Yeah.
Do you know?
He looks a little bit like him.
Do you know why I didn't like that scene as much? Because there's another film out there which did that scene 8 billion times better, and it is a great film as well. Stone Cold. Stone Cold had a better shop scene. Like the shop getting.
I forgot about that scene. I'm not saying it's a good scene. I got some enjoyment out of it. We don't need to say anything more now.
You know, when you put this film next to Stone Cold, like, look at how better a film Stone Cold is. I genuinely do love that film Stone Cold. I've watched it like 4 or 5 times now at this point.
We
really
need to get Ev to watch it because he wasn't in on that podcast.
I do a Stone Cold revisited. I watch it quite frequently. I watch the scene with the helicopter on YouTube all the time, like the bit where the helicopter flies into the car flies into the helicopter.
The helicopter pilot screaming.
Yeah, but the thing is of Stone Cold, right? It's that film's a work of art, right? Because it's got everything. It's got a so good as bad factor, but it's genuinely very entertaining, extremely funny all the way through. And it's got like great action and great stunts and great great set pieces. It's just like this whole other plane of good that film is. Do you know what I mean? So like you could watch it with your mates and laugh at it, but you can watch it on your own and be like, it's a pretty decent little action movie by you. You know what I mean? Stone Cold. That's a film.
Stone Cold. Come on, Ev. Have you got a favourite scene?
No, mine was probably the off-license scene. But just on a tangent, I was looking at the cast of the film here, and there was a guy called Jeff Imada who plays one of the Vernon Trent's men, and going on his page on IMDb, like the main video is a trailer for a film called Henchman, the Al Leong story.
Oh, is it?
Al Leong. Yeah.
The greatest henchman that ever henched.
Yeah. It's just
everyone's 80s go-to Chinese henchman.
Yeah, Al Leong. No, but I got to shout out Dean Norris as well in the cast. Hank Schrader from Breaking Bad, he's in this as well.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And William Sadler's in this.
Well, yeah, and Bill Sadler.
He's a really good actor. He's wasted.
He's in my second favourite film of all time, Die Hard 2.
What's your first favourite? Die Hard.
I just made that up, but I do like Die Hard 2. I'm trying to think of a film where he doesn't play like a bad guy. He's probably loads of them, but I always.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Green Mile.
Although he is in prison.
Green Mile.
Yeah,
No.
good shout.
Not
Oh
bad
yeah, he
guy,
plays
man.
the father, doesn't he, of the
Yeah.
murdered kids?
Oh, William Sadler.
Yeah, he's in
Yeah,
Green Book.
Never knew
he's in
that.
Green Mile.
The thing
But,
is,
Oh, sorry, go on, Ad. Go on.
I was going to say William Sadler. Obviously, I'll always know him as the Grim Reaper in
Bill and
Ted. Bill and Ted's book. But like that film, right? I have such a memory of that guy because I always remember when I was a kid watching it. My little sister watched it with me and my brothers, and like she would have been about like 5 or something, and I'll just never forget. You know the bit when he appears in Bill and Ted when he's on the cliff and then he appears behind them. My sister just had like the biggest meltdown. Like this traumatized child, super meltdown, terrified of that scene. So whenever I see William Sadler, I just think of my sister like being inconsolable for like an hour, screaming and crying and having nightmares for weeks because of that little bit in Bill and Ted.
Also, I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, there's another guy as well who was in Wayne's World in this. The guy who plays Kevin O'Malley, a guy called Frederick Coffin. He was the policeman in Wayne's World who conducts body cavity searches.
Oh, you're stretching it here, Ev. It's no true romance, is it? Right, come on then. So, moving on to changes, and we've already discussed a number of changes already. Can I give you my biggest issue I have with this film? And it's the shaky camera work.
That's the biggest issue.
Well, it is for me. There's plenty wrong with this movie, I know, but the shaky camera work just got on my tits. Have they not heard of a gimbal? It's just obviously like someone just holding it like this throughout.
Were gimbals being used in Hollywood?
Some stabilising, or just fixing on a bloody tripod then.
Yeah, I mean the handheld weight or gimbal thing was invented for Rocky, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Do you know the shot of him running up the steps?
Yeah.
They needed.
Oh, yeah, of course it was.
Yeah.
Ah, well remembered, Prog.
Well
remembered.
I can't believe that's your biggest issue with the film, though, is a bit of shaky camera.
Can I give you my biggest change? It would be to go back a week and have Evan suggest a different film.
Another Seagal film.
Change.
I'm going to pick 2 Seagal films this week.
Film choices tonight are going to be interesting. This Wheel of Doom is going to end in blows. Now I can tell it's going to end.
All this is going to be is people trying to get one up on each other for what they suggested last time. Ev, I'm going to say this now, but right, I've been on your side all the way through this Wheel of Doom thing with your one suggestion, but I'm seriously starting to question how good the paper is going to be based on what you've suggested the last few times.
It was Ron Howard directed it. You can't go wrong.
I know. I had confidence in it until the last few weeks. It's slipping.
Don't blame. Management takes no responsibility for the actions of the wheel. And anyway, it was Adam's choice of the wheel. You know.
No, I'm happy.
It's his fault. His fault.
Have you got 2 proper suggestions this time?
I have, yeah.
Right. We need to go back to 80s and 90s bangers. None of these sort of like films which you're trying to be a bit different with. Bangers.
Wait till you see my choices tonight, but all I'm going to say, bargain bin. I'm bargain bin, revenge.
What about that box? Didn't you order another box off the internet?
I did, yeah, but there's nothing now that good in there, to be honest. It was
that good in the last one.
This
is a Fast and the Furious box set.
Yeah, video. This one had VHS in it, but
right.
Can I just
Who
say?
else has got changes?
Yeah,
go on, Ed.
Me quickly. All right. The worst thing of this film, like, first off, so moving over the structure of the film, the structure was appalling in this film, Gary. The structure, like, you'd be in the middle of like a car chase, like you have like the dojo getting blown up, and then you cut over then to like this little bit of like a comedy sitcom scene where they go back to the house to steal that camera, and like so like it just the film never ever like retains like a sort of like flow of action going on. But also the worst thing this film had going was Steven Seagal trying to do one-liners, comedy one-liners. The man is the worst actor ever. Like the man cannot act. He can't act, and but the thing is, right? He just can't do, like when Arnie pulls a funny little one-liner. He's got so much charm about him, even though it's corny. It's funny because he sells it right. But Seagal, nothing. It just annoyed me whenever that bit when he ripped the wall open and took to take the camera, and he's all like, "Oh yeah, you got to talk to those contractors," and it's just like, mate, just go away, like, get in the bin, as Evan would say. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, I hated it. But like, my ultimate change, everything, just from they should have just. Then you said they had to delete a different cut or an alternative cut. They should have just started all over again. But yeah, that's my changes.
So there is a different ending as well, which wasn't used. And do you know, at the end, Mason Storm doesn't kill Trent, does he? He says... so there's an alternate ending, I'm going to read this easier, where Storm kills Trent and says, "Take that to the bank." And then Storm is shown saying that in the trailers that were used, but then so it indicates that it was filmed and everything, but then never, obviously, didn't get used in the.
Yeah, that was the other thing. The ending was so abrupt though, because it just re-showed that footage they filmed, and then the film just cut off, and I was like, okay.
But Trent does it like. I always talk about like bosses and bad guys at the end. It's a bit shit. He beats up some of the guys in the pool room, beats up that other guy, who's like, I suppose the main guy he's supposed to kill before Trent, and then just finds Trent in a cupboard. It's just all a bit.
It's awful.
You want a bit more. Trent should have come out, all guns blazing, and he did, but it was shit.
Well, this was his all guns blazing.
Ah. The other thing, right? He kills that guy in like the marketplace with all people around him, and I'm assuming he kills him. The guy he sort of like chokes, and he kills him right in front of his kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, "There's a life lesson for that kid straight away." Come on, what else have people got?
I've got a few. When he's doing surveillance at the start, like he gets like dolled up to the max, doesn't he? Like he's all suited and booted with his suit and all that lot. Why? Because he's gonna get manky doing surveillance work.
Nah, he knows he's gonna get laid at the end of it, isn't he? Tonight is your night, bro.
I suppose. Going from there into the hospital. Kelly the Brock given the cat as like a recovery aid. That cat can off in the bin. Tell you. Oh, the last thing I want if I'm hospitalised is a bloody cat on us. And then with a double entendre with have some pussy. Go on, have some.
Yeah, yes. Can we talk about Kelly the Brock as well? I don't think her voice matches her. Do you think? Does she put on that accent? Or is that
she's
her
British.
noise? I know she's British. Well, she's born in America, wasn't she? And then, but to British parents, I think. I think she's born in New York. But because she's like uber posh British in the way that she speaks. Do you think? Does anyone speak like that in Britain, really?
Well, the thing is, she's a terrible actress, so she must do, because I wouldn't believe her being able to do an accent. She's like, don't get me wrong, she's good in Weird Science. Like when she's working with someone like John Hughes, yeah, she's great. But in this, she's terrible. She's awful actress in this. What other films has she been in though? I can't think of anything else other than Weird Science.
Wasn't she in some like? It's not a film, TV series like Days of Our Lives or something like that.
Yeah,
one of those biggies, I think.
Yeah, but she totally did.
I don't think she was in a lot though, was she?
No.
She's in a Leslie Nielsen film called Wrongfully Accused.
Oh, that's a pretty good film, actually. Wrongfully Accused. I've always liked. It's like a piss take of The Fugitive in it. That one.
She's in The Woman in Red.
Oh, with Gene Wilder.
Yeah. What else?
I don't think there's much more, to be honest.
No.
How did she get with Steven Seagal?
Don't know. Blackmail.
Also, how is he an action star? Of
He
the
was-
80s and 90s.
He
Only,
was.
I only question. Sorry, I only question this. He just never looks fit.
No.
You know, you've got Arnie and Sly and Van Damme, and then you've got this guy who's just like me, being an action movie.
Well, I believe the way he got into it was that he was for years before he did his first film, he was a stunt coordinator or like a fight choreographer for action films, and he just kind of started to slip into films basically through doing that. He just made a go for it, and he made Above the Law, which is like his first. He kind of because he wrote the script for Above the Law, or he did something with the script and produced it, and yeah, he just kind of went from there. But the thing is with Steven Seagal, he's just like he has no charisma. Like he's so unlikable. Like you never like I was saying this to Prague. I mean, it's like look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't the best actor ever, but he's brilliant. He's got such a brilliant on-screen presence, and he's so like he sells it. Like, you know what I mean? He's so like Arnie's never winning the Oscar, right, for best actor, but he's also like I love watching him in movies because like you know what I mean?
I don't think
He's
that's
like,
a fair comparison.
it is because I'm on about action movie stars, but yeah, I'm on about big.
Yeah, but you're
like,
talking about the biggest action movie star ever.
yeah, but
Was Steven
No.
Seagal ever going to get there? He wasn't, was he?
he had big movies, and they were trying to do away with him. So like there was a time where like action blockbusters was Stallone, Arnie, Seagal, Van Damme. Like they were like they were the leading men in action movies, and Seagal just doesn't like even Van Damme has some likability to him, but Seagal just doesn't have anything. He just thinks to yourself, God, I bet you're an arsehole in real life, and then there's a million stories that says he is.
I think
You know,
that swayed your opinion on him, but I think because you've heard he's an arsehole in real life, you think he's an arsehole in a film.
I've ever heard that
Did
story
you like
about
his movies in the 90s when you were a kid?
Yeah, Under Siege 1 and 2, and that was it. But like, if you go on his Wikipedia page, he's got like his personal life section. It's like sections like this long about like conflicts with other stuntmen, conflicts with other people. It's like, mate, like calm down, by you, Steve.
What's that got to do with him being an actor? But
Well, he just can't do it, and like you're saying, it just doesn't. It just that dickishness just eases through into his films. You can just tell the guy's an absolute chode, like, you know.
I don't agree with you. I think personally, I find him watchable in certain films. I think he's fine. I like him in Under Siege. I think he's actually a decent lead in that film. Don't get me wrong, I think the film would have been better if someone else was playing that part. I mean, if Kurt Russell was in it. But then we always put Kurt Russell or Mel Gibson forward for stuff, don't we? But, you know, I like Under Siege. I think it's a good film. I think Steven Seagal's fine in it. So, you know, I haven't got a particular problem with his...
I think, yeah.
I'm not
it's-
saying he's a great actor either, right? I'm not defending him. I agree with you. In this film, it is a tough one. But I do think he's been decent in a few. So
I think the problem is that like with Van Damme as well, that you're going up against Stallone and Schwarzenegger, who you're never going to beat them in terms of action films.
I think Stallone and Schwarzenegger are on their own. I don't think you should even try and compare anyone else to them two.
No.
I wouldn't even compare Bruce Willis to those two.
Jackie Chan.
I think the
Bruce Lee.
fake. Sorry.
I say Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. I put them on. the
No.
same.
Again, they're different. They're completely different. I'd say the fairest comparison to make would be Seagal and Van Damme because of the quality of the films that they did. Now, personally, I think Van Damme's a better actor.
And he had better films as well.
Well, what's better than Under Siege?
Bloodsport. Oh, sorry.
Frog
Sorry.
didn't like that movie.
I thought you said Hard to Kill. I thought you meant Hard to Kill. No,
No.
Under Siege is better than that. Under Siege is better than that. But I would rather watch any low rent Van Damme film than any low rent Seagal film any day of the week. Any day.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I Bloodsport. If you compare Bloodsport to Hard to Kill, Bloodsport is like Bloodsport is like Pulp Fiction in comparison. It is heads and shoulders above this film. It is so much better than this film. Bloodsport is,
That's
and
a plus.
Bloodsport's crap.
I think with Van Damme though, I think he just seems a bit nicer. I don't know, a bit more personable. I think in
goes a
some
long way.
in some of his roles, like
It goes
like
a long
in
way.
Fr-
I found it.
he was in Friends as well. He was very personable in Friends.
Come on, what are the
Yes.
changes you got?
That's it for me.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go. I'm not going into it. I cannot be bothered to list what I would change about this film. So let's just move on.
I haven't got it. I think we've pretty much gone over a lot of things. One bit of the film did really bug me as regards to a massive hole in the stories or the scene. Sorry, not the story. The story itself is a massive hole in it anyway. Then when they steal that Jeep and they go away, right? It's a Jeep which has got no sort of like protection, so there's no doors. It's like a soft top, soft back. There's bullet holes in the windscreen as well, and like there's not like a scratch in them. And, okay, it's an 80s, 90s action movie, but come
What
on.
about when they make the exchange of that shot up piece of shit Jeep for that awesome car?
Yeah.
But also, like, how did he know you could do that? He just like rocks up on the side of a highway or whatever. It's like, guys, do you want to swap? And they're like, is it hot? Of course it is. And then they just drive off. It's terrible.
Yeah, but
It makes no sense.
Have our Lambo for this car with the wheels have fallen off and is just left a hail of bullets. Like, what
Yeah,
the
it
hell?
looks hot. Is it? Yes.
I looked at Prog on that bit. I was like, am I understanding this correctly, Prog? Why are they swapping that car? And like, Prog was like that. I don't know.
The other thing I want to mention, do you know Martha, the mythical mate you never see? Yeah. What's Kelly LeBrock's character in this called? Whatever her name is, right? She goes to her apartment, and then the neighbour comes out to tell her she's dead. That neighbour is the most aggressive person ever, and he's just like, oh, you look like that bitch on TV. And before that, he said like, oh, I'm looking for Martha. Do you know where she is? She's dead. And I don't know how or what sort of direction they gave that guy, but it's shocking. But why is he like that?
Well, I was going to say actually, he's an actor I recognise from a few things, and he's
Yeah.
actually been good in stuff.
Not on this.
No,
Right, come on, let's wrap this up. Otherwise, we'd be still talking about it. Can I say one thing about this movie? It had a budget of 11.5 million. It returned just shy of 60 million.
Wow.
That's depressing, isn't it?
How did it do that?
Can I-
Either they had an amazing marketing team behind them, or they were trying to ride high on Seagal at the time.
no. Adam went through what was released that weekend and the prior weekends, and there was nothing. Nothing was out.
This released in February 19 because I had to go because I saw that price tag and I was like, I have to see how this did so well. What the hell was this up against in the box office? I go to February. Obviously, January and February usually are the dead
Quiet
months,
months, anyway, yeah.
the quiet months of the box office.
Can I just read something that I saw on Wikipedia? Hard to Kill debuted at number 1 at the US box office with an opening weekend gross of 9.2 million, the biggest 3-day February opening at that time.
Wow. We had the biggest Steven Seagal star of the biggest opening February 1990 film.
That's going on the VHS cover tagline, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
it gets me thinking, what films were released in February before then? Like in the years prior. Was nothing big released in February?
No, January and February, they're usually dead months, man. They usually the studios just release stuff that they're a bit like, oh, this ain't going to do
And
that.
isn't it just
is it
before the
Oscar
Oscars as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's award season, isn't it? We're going into.
Oscars is usually December, but then you get the bleed over of Oscars in January a bit, but it's mainly just like.
Well,
But
the
the thing
Oscars
is,
are in March, aren't they?
Yeah.
no, the releases for
dunno.
the Oscar film. I'm telling you right now, the release for the Oscar films is December, and it bleeds into January.
These are some of the films I've just done a quick quick Google, which were released in this is domestic box office, so I'm guessing in America. These are the ones at February 1990, according to boxofficemojo.com. Driving Miss Daisy, Hard to Kill, Born on the 4th of July, Stella, Look Who's Talking, Tango and Cash, Internal Affairs, Always, The War of the Roses, Glory, Tremors, Steel Magnolias, The Little Mermaid, and apparently
every single film you said there is miles better than this.
yeah.
I wonder if they came like at the end of February going into March. A lot of them sort of thing. But Tremors?
The other thing as well is back then you had the slow build, didn't you, of a film, where a film would gather word of mouth rather than this massive marketing campaign.
Yeah. Come on then, final question. I think we all know where we're going with this, but would you recommend Prog?
Oh, this is a 100% absolute hell no, and this is the third worst film I've seen doing this podcast.
Wow.
I would rather watch Bingo than this.
Wow. Wow.
Ev? Oh, wait a
No.
minute. So what two films are below this?
Combat Academy.
A Macamee?
No. Flash.
Wow.
Short-
Video Kill.
Flash Gordon. Ooh.
So it's going to
Flash-
Video Kill then.
Flash Gordon is bottom because of how long it is.
Flash Gordon gets about 4 extra points just for Brian Blessed for me. But Ev, what have you got?
No.
No.
Not for me.
Ad?
Not only is it a no, if someone recommended it to me, I'm not counting the Wheel of Doom, so but if someone recommended this to me, I probably wouldn't talk to him ever again.
What was your rating for this, Ad?
1 out of
What
10.
was the one for?
The punch in the face.
Yeah, and I 100%. I'm bored with everyone. I wouldn't recommend it either. How can you recommend it when there's a million better films out there?
Just thinking, waste of a Sunday evening this was, but
I got enjoyment out of it, but I wouldn't recommend it. So, let's go on to the Wheel of Doom, Wheel of Fortune. What are we calling this?
Wheel of Doom. I'll start sharing the screen.
Yeah, over to you, Ad,
You
and I'll give it a
enjoyed it, but you wouldn't recommend it.
No. I got some enjoyment out of it. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it.
What does that statement even mean?
I don't know. Who knows? God.
So we got House of the Dead. Now I have to explain quickly as well, guys. Is we discussed on text earlier. We are starting to get a few more viewer requests in for films now, but we have decided that to keep it as being 10 films every time. So there's a 10% chance for each film. We're only going to have one booby film and one viewer choice. When that viewer choice is selected, we go on to the next. We go into the next one on the list. So we're tracking everyone's film recommends. You'll all get a shot on the thing. But for now, we're staying with Frailty, which is the viewer film, isn't it? It is Frailty, isn't it?
Yeah. That's Brian, one of the guys who listens.
So I'm
Obviously.
going to start with. Oh, sorry, Andrew. We had a bit of a connection issue.
I was
there.
going to say there's not a second, is there? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a booby film and a viewer choice. That's the first two. So let's go to. I'm going to go to Evan first for the choices.
The Paper.
And Hard to Kill 2.
Harder to Kill.
Harder to Kill. Yeah.
The
Die Harder.
7-year itch.
I'm gonna go Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
I am. Prog, you go next.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Fucking hell, everyone is stinking so far.
Howie the Robin. Come on.
I've told you, Ad, if you really don't want to watch it, don't bother tuning in that week, but we'd
2.5
happily do it without you.
And this has got Blessed in as well.
Yeah.
Why isn't
my
Brian Blessed Robin Hood?
My second film is The Hot Spot.
Fair enough. That one's alright. Will it hold up though? That's always the question with rear in the movies.
That's why I'm nominating it.
Andrew Owen.
Westworld.
Oh, but oh, why would you pick West? Go on.
Copland.
Oof.
Good shout.
Okay.
Couple of boots.
I'm going to go for Get Carter, the original one. So I think
Yes.
that you guys all dunked on Mike Hodges and Flash Gordon the other week, so we need to redeem him with Get Carter, which is one of his earlier films. And I'm going to go for Switchblade Romance as my second choice. Have anyone ever seen Switchblade Romance?
Whoa. You sure you don't want to save that for October?
No. I'm going to go for. I can't. No, it's in the Doom, but it's in the Wheel of Doom.
Okay.
Switchblade Romance is in. So there's my two choices. We ready to spin it?
Go.
It's going to be House of the Dead now. I know it is. The way this is going.
Oh,
Thought somebody get Carter then.
I thought it was going to be Get Carter as well. Has anyone ever seen that film before?
No.
Yeah.
It's also
Switchblade
known.
Romance, no.
It's also known as High Tension. I think.
I'm going to let you know now.
everyone
It's
else-
also French.
Yeah, it's French. It is French language, but trust me.
There's
Hold on.
our viewer ship or viewer numbers down for that week then.
Guys, Evan and Andrew, don't read anything about that film. The only information I'm giving you is that it's also called High Tension. Have you ever seen it before, Prog?
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing I'm telling you is called the titles. Don't read any plot synopsis. Just go into that blind, and we'll talk about it next week.
Can I have a genre?
Horror.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and on that note, podcasts come out every Wednesday, Thursday. Check out our social media, check out our YouTube channel where you can also watch the video podcast and additional content. Cheers all!
Bye.